And we are live. We are live. And okay, everything's set up. I'm good on my end. I didn't
Good
double
on
check before
mine.
we started. Oh my gosh. Welcome to The Devil Made Me Do It podcast. I am Joe, and I'm here with my host, Dizzy.
Dizzy. Hello,
Dizzy.
y'all.
It's like, it's early in the morning, and it's summertime, and it's fucking hot, and the mosquitoes are like out running a fucking muck around the world.
Oh, yes.
Praying I don't get Zika or chimichanga or whatever the name of that other one is. All I know is my ankles are tore up right now. These little bastards.
When I Yesterday when we went out to feed the pigs, yeah, they tagged me a couple of times on my back and my shoulders and my behind, and I'm like, hey, that's mine.
Right? It's like sometimes like I get them
On my
like
hip.
the yes, on the hip, like right in that gap between your shirt and your pants. And you don't realize sometimes when your shirt goes up and it's like you start itching there and you're like, how the hell did you
Well,
get
see,
there?
I had a onesie on yesterday. I had my summertime onesie on, and I guess it flew up my pant leg or something, but it got me right on the hip, and I'm like, what the? No
Dude, they bite
fair.
through your clothes too.
But dude, yeah.
Like if you're not wearing like the thick shit, like they will bite through
Mhm.
your fucking clothes, and they're so tiny. It's like what the fuck? You're like the thickness of my pants. How are you biting through that? Like,
Hmm. They might be small where you are, but they're doggone velociraptors out here.
oh my god, we're gonna have to call like Chris Pratt to come handle this shit because this is
Exactly.
ridiculous. My god, he can come handle it. That's all I know. Like, I'm not gonna complain. Oh my gosh. Well, today we're going to be talking about doomsday cult mom Lori Vallow Daybell and her husband Chad Daybell. This is a very, very, very detailed, long, twisty turn. Like, there's constantly a plot twist in this shit, and it's even just trying to sit down and type this out like was just so much. It took so long. I had to keep taking breaks because I'm like, I know there's more shit that I'm forgetting or I'm not seeing on here, and I'd have to stop and pull myself back to like refresh myself and come back to it. It took me a couple of
Oh
days
yeah.
to do it off and on, but I got it done the best I could. Um, real quick, I wanted to talk about a little bit of oh, I mean, this is kind of a current case still going, but there's another one that I heard about earlier in the week. I'm sad that I didn't write the damn name down of this chick,
No.
but um Chris Watts. If you guys are not familiar with Chris Watts, he is basically what they call like a family annihilator. He murdered his pregnant wife and his very, very two sweet little like baby girls um, over basically just wanting to start over with some other chick, which she seemed a little shady fucking too.
Oh
But
yeah.
maybe we'll get into that story on another day.
Yeah.
So he's currently incarcerated right now, and I guess his bunky's got a new girl, and she is what is she? I think she's a therapist or something like that. But she is coming out on the news, um, talking all kinds of stuff about what's going on with the case and Chris Watts and this and that. And it kind of seems like she is with the bunkie or the celly to get to him, kind of the way she's
Gotcha.
talking. So I'm curious to see where this goes and what she has to say. And I think, like I said, I think she's just doing it. She's doing it probably just for like her 15 minutes. Because a lot of people, we talked
Yeah.
about this before, how like people are weird like that. People want to connect with these criminals, these murderers and stuff. I don't know what it is. Like maybe they feel some sense of importance because they're connected to these people or what. I don't know. But like I said before, I'm not trying to write Christmas cards to these motherfuckers. So I tell them what's going on on my summer vacation. So yeah, I don't get it. But yeah, there's some weird Chris Watts stuff coming out now with a new chick. And
No.
she just seems very weird. I don't know. I don't know. Oh my gosh. So in today's case, like I said before, there's so much stuff going on. I tried to get this down in timeline version, so hopefully nobody gets too annoyed that I'm saying, okay, on this date, on this date, on this date. Um, I'm gonna like ad lib some filler in there that I know happened in between some of these spaces. My damn computer just clicked off. Damn it! Need my notes. Why being rude? Um,
How rude.
how rude. Yeah, little Michelle. I love Michelle Tanner. I use those gifs and the memes like anytime
Mm-hmm.
I can do it. Because her
Yep.
little attitude is just so sassy and it's perfect. So
Obsession. Just
Oh my gosh. Um, I can't say I don't know where to begin because I've already typed this out. I'm looking at it. But this one may be a two-parter if I can't get through this in time, just because there's so much going on. There was stuff that was, there was new discovery that was coming out all the way up into Thursday. It's Saturday morning, by the way, guys, for you listening later on the podcast. But there was stuff coming out all the way up until Thursday of this week. And it was like heavily redacted reports because this is still like they haven't gone to trial yet. Like this, they're still sitting in jail, going through a bunch of shit. They're still collecting evidence, still talking to people. So I'm going to shut up and get into what's really going on. So
sorry, I'm fussing at my cat not to jump on something. Don't.
Oh, no worries. I have to do that all the time when I do the cooking segments on Any Last Words because my cat always wants to get in the cabinet right in front of me. I'm like, you're going to knock over my shit. Move. She's like, Meh. And I'm like, you speak English right now.
I did do a little rearranging and changed out my picture behind me, and I just kind of set it on the edge of the table of my craft table, and she's eyeballing it like she wants to jump on it, and I'm like, no.
Stop it. I love that you put the Dahmer board up there.
Yes. Yeah.
You chop up all the heads of letters.
Excuse my blue tongue.
Nah. No worries. Mine might be off color because I've got coffee this morning.
Mine's blue because I found a fun dip and I had a sweet tooth last night before bed, even after brushing.
That shit will stain. Oh, real quick, good morning, Erin from over at Horror with Her Sturdy. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Man, I'm gonna say this just for you, Erin. We're gonna get into some crazy ass white people drama right now. Like, this shit's fucking intense, bro. So I'm gonna back it up. I'm gonna give you guys like a summary of the crime. We're gonna get into a little bit of Lori's history, and then we're gonna go from there. So, are you ready? Here we go. No turning back now. So a summary of the crime is that Lori Vallow Daybell and her current husband, Chad Daybell, are involved in several suspicious deaths and part of a bizarre apocalyptic delusion that prosecutors claim the couple came up with in order to justify the murders of her two children, Tylee, who is 17, and JJ, who is an autistic 7-year-old boy, who is adopted, by the way. And we'll get into that. As well as Chad's 49-year-old wife, Tammy Daybell, who died of what was documented at the time as natural causes, but now after an actual autopsy is considered murder. Let's see. Oh, why did you skip, you son of a bitch? I can't push the down button. I actually have to use the mouse for this because it will just jump me off into the end. Gotcha. Okay, so Lori's life growing up. Lori Noreen Cox was born June 26, 1973. Growing up, she had 2 brothers and 2 sisters. One of them is deeply involved in this case. His name is Alex Cox, and we'll also get into that. Aaron says, I love it from the sidelines. Yeah, it's like, as long as it doesn't involve me, I'm good. Exactly. Same here, dude. Let's see. So Alex is involved in this later on. But Lori attended Eisenhower High School in Rialto, California from 1987 to 1991. In high school, she was a cheerleader and was referred to as a Barbie doll by her peers and spent a lot of time with her cheerleading friends. Like she was like always in that little clique. They said she wasn't interested in anything else or anyone else. And she didn't actually start dating until like her senior year of high school. Hi, kitty. Sorry for those of you listening on the audio, we go live first and then this turns into an audio later. So when you see a kitty, you can't say hello. So you can't not say hello.
Not say hello. Especially Gigi Allen.
Yeah.
That's her real name. Gigi Allen.
Gigi Allen. I love it. Kitty. I love kitties. Okay, so her one of her childhood friends stated that her family was a very, very devout Mormon family. And Lori attended like kind of like a preschool before she went to high school during the day. And it was all of like the Mormon teaching.
It's scripture study. It's being prior Mormon. I know these things.
Yeah. Did you grow up Mormon or no?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. So then you'd be kind of familiar with what
with rules and all the things you abide by as a Mormon. Most of them don't drink coffee. Just recently, some of them started drinking coffee, I guess, which is funny because when I was in high school and I was a Mormon, we had a coffee shop across the street from the high school that was ran by a Mormon family.
What? Yeah, you
Yeah.
get like Mormons can't like have coffee or anything, right? No coffee, no
Um,
alcohol, no
Nothing,
stimulants, basically.
no stimulants, exactly. Purity is really enforced in the youth. Um, oh, what's that word I'm looking for? Um, I can't think of what we used to call seminary. That's what it was. Seminary. We would go to seminary before school. We would get up at least, an hour before school and go sit and talk about Book of Mormon or whatever, and then go to school for 8 hours. So that's always
Yeah.
fun.
That's, you know what, there are a lot of different religions and like cultures that do that kind of stuff. When I grew up in
Mm-hmm.
the San Francisco Bay Area, I mean, geez, there's like a lot of Vietnamese, Chinese, Japanese. And one of my Chinese friends, she kind of did something that was similar to that. Like she went to like her culture's school
Yeah.
before she would show up for high school, and then sometimes she would go back again afterwards. And they never had a day off. Like they went like Monday through Sunday. Like it was just an everyday
Mm-hmm.
thing,
Well,
which is crazy. I couldn't
yeah,
do that. I could
even with
barely get through high school.
right, Mormons, where I was at least in California, we would have seminary throughout the week. Gigi girl, I'm gonna strangle this cat. She's now in my China hutch. I don't know what made her think she could get in there, but um, we would do that Monday through Friday. And then Wednesdays, we would have young men and young women's, which is high school age kids that get together and study about the Bible and stuff like that. But also, it's kind of like I don't know, I guess you could say it's kind of like a hangout too, to
Okay.
keep us more occupied with more religion stuff more than, what most teenagers do at that age.
What is that saying? I think it kind of would apply to a lot of different religions, or just I guess anything really. Is that, what is it, the idle hands or the devil's playthings kind of deal?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Shit.
Don't
Yeah, well,
do
I
it.
don't know. I think this lady takes her religion and just goes off
Oh,
literally
to
the deep end with
another,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so like I said, she didn't start dating until her senior year of high school. She didn't go to college after that, and this is where everything really starts to get the ball rolling. In total, including her current husband, Chad Daybell, she has been married 5 times. In 1992, she married her first husband, which was her high school sweetheart, Nelson Yanes. And I apologize if I botch any of these names. I'm not a perfect person. I get mush mouth. It fucking happens. But her first husband was her high school sweetheart, Nelson Yanes, and they divorced and had no children together. Then in 1995, she married her second husband, William Lagonia. Like I said, I'm gonna mess this up. And William was the father to her oldest son, Colby Ryan. And they divorced 1 year after getting married. So it's basically like I guess she kind of got like pregnant, had the baby, and then they split or something. Or maybe she was still pregnant when they split. I don't know. I didn't get a whole lot of detail on that.
Yeah, no.
And then she did some, oh shit, I forgot to get the actual details on this one because I thought this was really interesting. She actually, in some point in between this time and her third husband, she appeared on Wheel of Fortune. And she basically said that like God had like brought her there.
She was blessed, and her husband was at home with her two beautiful children,
Okay, so
taking
then
care
this,
of them. I saw a little clip of it, and
yeah. So this one had to been after the third husband then, because that would have been Joseph Ryan. So
yeah.
okay. So in 2001, she married her third husband, Joseph Ryan, who is Tylee's father.
Mm-hmm.
And her son Colby actually ended up taking his last name. That's why he has the name Colby Ryan and not Colby Lagonia or whatever, however you say
Yeah.
that name. So yeah, she was on Wheel of Fortune. I don't remember if she won or not. I'm
Oh,
not
that I
sure.
don't know. I don't
And then
know.
yeah, so she went on Wheel of Fortune, And then basically, you know, like God, you know, brought her there or whatever. And then she started entering like the Miss Texas beauty pageants. And then she really started feeling like at this point that like she had a calling from God, like that she was supposed to be someone important and like, now, I don't want to say like the center of attention, but that she was someone special. And then let's see. So they got married, and her and Joseph got married in 2001, and then they divorced in 2004. These marriages are very short lived.
Very short.
And it's like she's finding one after the other. Like she doesn't even take much of a break in between these guys. So I'm wondering if she was like talking to these people
before she even.
Yeah.
I kind of felt that, especially later on with her fifth husband. I did see a clip of her in her pageant where she's talking to the judges, and they asked her what is important to her, and she said being a good mother, being a great wife, and being a great worker. And then something kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Most beauty pageant or beauty queens don't say, I'm a ticking time bomb.
I didn't catch that part.
She specifically said that in that interview. She says, yes, I am a ticking time bomb I do my best to keep everything in order, but I'm a ticking time bomb.
Oh, shit, I didn't catch that part. I watched the fucking pageant thing a long time ago. She looked, I mean, she's still a very pretty lady for her age. Like, she still looks really good. But man, she was fit and all kinds of shit, especially for having 2 kids. Like, damn, mama, good for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And actually, there was a, let's see, it was last year because I remember we were driving back from Oklahoma and I was listening to, it was like it was Dateline or it was something like that. They kind of jumped in on it. I don't remember if it was Dateline exactly or not, but it was one of those kind of shows. They had jumped in and they started like picking up the story and they were interviewing people. And they had a segment and they actually interviewed Colby on the mom's life and everything. And he says the reason why he and Joseph Ryan, Tylee's dad, divorced was because Joseph Ryan was molesting him.
Exactly. And I read that the other day.
Yeah, and he went and told Lori, and Lori just had a shit fit, which you should as a good mother. And that was everybody said she was a really good mom, that she was a great, amazing mom, very caring. I was going to say, did the gardeners come early next door? Oh, hell no. But she's going to get loud. But he was being molested by Joseph Ryan, and he told Lori. Lori had a shit fit, and she's like, oh, hell no, we're getting the fuck out of here. So that's when she bounced. So because, and this is what I don't get either, because they got divorced and had Tylee together, that there was like a big custody battle.
Yes, a long one, apparently.
Yeah, a really long one. And then she started like dipping out on court-ordered visitation times, which I would too if he was a fucking, baby toucher. Like, no, I'm not letting you around any of my children. I don't care if they're biological or adopted. You can kiss my ass.
Yeah, but, along with the molestation, though, he said that he was also very violent towards them.
Yeah.
That was something that I did read, that he was very aggressive when it came to like discipline. And that he even abused Kylie too, not sexually that I heard of, but
yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah, but I'm assuming just the physical abuse that comes with that kind of territory, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just I mean, I don't blame her for getting away from him, honestly. I mean, I don't feel she had any fault in this part of her life right now.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. I will give her credit for this shit. She did what a good mom is supposed to do and get the fuck up out of there and not let your kids see them ever again. Interesting enough, in 2018, Joseph died of an apparent heart attack. And from what I got, Lori had like kind of some say in what happened to him, like as far as his remains. I'll have to go double check this. If I'm wrong and anybody's listening and you know better, please correct me on this. But he was cremated. And there wasn't an autopsy done. Like the cops came in, kind of saw what was going on, and they just assumed it was a heart attack.
Yeah. I know her brother was cremated, but that's later on.
A lot of people were cremated.
In this story.
Yeah. And some people should have been cremated because they would have
Yeah.
got a lot further, but we'll get into that. So kind of to go back into the timeline. So she got divorced from him in 2004, bitter custody battle. In 2006, she married her fourth husband, Charles Vallow, and they adopted Charles's autistic nephew, JJ, after his older sister Kay suggested that they do so. And I have no clue, like, really who JJ belongs to. I don't think it was Kay. I think it was like a brother or
It
something.
was his sister's son.
Sons, that's what it was.
Yeah, it was his sister's son, and I guess there was financial situation and just the burden of an autistic child. They just couldn't deal with it. So they stepped in at that point in time and took on JJ. And from what I saw and read, she was great with JJ, very patient, very kind, very endearing, and it's very weird to hear all of this and then to find out what actually happens.
Yeah.
It's like, how can a mother, a woman for that matter, be doing everything right, in the eyes of whatever everybody else, and then do a complete 180 is like, what clicked?
Yeah,
That's what I want to know. What switch was flipped?
Yeah, or what game was she playing? Because this seems to kind of be like a little bit of it's like a back and forth thing with her, but it progresses every time she jumps back in. It's like double dutch. Like, she jumps in and out, but it gets more intense every time. Like, the ropes go faster.
Yeah.
And Charles did have 2 older sons from a previous relationship. And so when they got married in 2006, they moved to Hawaii for a few years and then moved back to Arizona in 2018. This is when shit really starts, really starts picking up speed. She eventually started talking to author of apocalyptic novels and follower of the LDS Church, Chad Daybell, via email. Chad Daybell, growing up, was a gravedigger. Like, him and his brother, when they were young adults and stuff, like, I want to say like late teens, early adulthood.
I think it was after he came back from his mission, which is usually about 18 to 21. You're on your mission, usually that age frame. And then when he came back from his mission, I think that's when he was doing the grave digging.
Okay, but this makes it very interesting too, later into some shit. So Chad was married at the time, when he was talking to Lori, to his then wife, Tammy Daybell, and they got married in 1990. So they'd been married for a really long time, like 1990 all the way up to like 2019. That's a long time to be married to someone. And they had some kids together. I don't remember, I think 3 or something, 3 or 4 maybe. So they don't really talk or bring them up very much. So
very much at all.
Yeah. But Chad was writing these like doomsday novels because he claimed that he had a near-death experience when he was younger, and it kind of like enlightened him spiritually. And so he was a self-proclaimed prophet, and that he could tell if people were light spirits or dark spirits, and basically who and what they were in their past lives. And I'm going to try to break this down the best I could, because it's a little confusing for me to understand. I don't even know if this is part of the LDS religion or if it's just some shit he made up. I honestly don't know. So I am ignorant to this fact. So hopefully I'm not offending anybody. So the breakdown of how his quote unquote rating system for light or dark works, it's a number system, basically. Like 0 to 1 is like the very lowest, and you can either be dark or light, on the good side or the bad side. And the higher you are up in numbers, basically like the closer you are to God or the devil. Basically, it's how I'm taking it. He states that people are reborn or they graduate to the next level when they die. So I guess kind of like a reincarnation of your spirit, I suppose.
Well, I'm going to say this. The Mormon Church is very big on the afterlife. A lot of families get sealed for time and all eternity to each other.
Okay.
There are, if you've read anything on Mormonism, the Mormons do believe that there are several different levels of heaven, if you will. So say, for instance, you weren't the greatest person, but you repented and you were forgiven for your sins, you would be in the lowest level. And
Okay.
again, the higher up you go, the closer to God you are.
Okay. So
Type
I'm
thing.
kind of on the track a little bit of
Yeah,
making
you
sense
are.
of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they also believe too that if your loved one is done something where they're on the lower level,
Mhm.
you can't go visit them very often when you're in
Oh.
heaven. You know what I mean? It's a lot of stuff, but
Okay, that's very interesting, honestly. Um,
yeah.
okay, so yeah, so then, they graduate or go to the next level when they die. That most members of the LDS Church, which is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, he says that most of them are a level 2, and that the dark side can only match the light, not exceed it. I was confused on what that meant. Do you know what that means?
What it means is it matches the light. So if a person is good and bad, everybody's good and bad. I don't care who
Mhm.
you are. You're a human being. We all make mistakes.
Right.
There's some faults there, but with the good or the bad, it's saying it'll match whatever bad they have done will match the amount of good that's in them at the same time, is what I'm taking from what you just said.
Okay. Well, no, that does make sense to me. Um, okay, so then he says that 2s and 3s are fluid and that they can change sides during their Earth life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and then a 4.1 and above have covenant to their side and they rarely switch sides. So it's kind of like you've committed yourself at 4.1 and above. You're either good or you're
Exactly.
bad. Um,
Exactly.
so then Lori started inquiring whether or not her kids and other family members were light or dark and what their past roles were. I
Mm-hmm.
only put down the numbers for a few people, not everybody, but I am going to put up on the Patreon, and there's some stuff I'm going to throw up on the Instagram, um, like the actual emails between Lori and
Okay.
Chad that shows what I'm going to be talking about right now, the rating system, and like
Mm-hmm.
some of these people had like past lives that were members of the Mormon Church, and they had very important roles and whatnot. But Chad rated the following. He said that Lori was a 4.3 light. Colby, her oldest son, was a 3 light. Tylee was a 4.1 dark. Joseph Ryan, Tylee's dad, was a 4.3 dark and is now sealed away, according to Chad. So I'm taking that means he can't come back, like he's done for, kind of deal.
That's what I took from it. I know at one point in time in some of the things that I was reading and watching, they said that she was some type of being.
Yeah, she was a transcendent being.
There you go.
She was sent by
So
God to lead the 144,000.
back to God, basically.
Yeah.
They thought the end of times was coming and that Christ was on
Mm-hmm.
his way. So yeah. But with that being thing that she thought she really, like, how can I put this?
She drank she drank her own
She
Kool-Aid,
drank the
basically.
Kool-Aid,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah. She drank a little bit too much of her own Kool-Aid.
Uh-huh. Because she really thought she was the shit. She thought she was it and then some.
Yeah, because
Oh.
she wouldn't go to doctors. She told actually her fourth husband that she was immortal.
Yeah, she was
She
telling Charles
couldn't
all
die.
kinds of crazy shit.
She couldn't die.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even put that in there. I totally forgot that she said that till you reminded me. But yeah, so Joseph Ryan, Tylee's dad, was 4.3 dark and sealed away, according to Chad. Little JJ, was a 4.2 light. That Charles Vallow, who she is currently married to, was a 3 light, and then her brother Alex, who gets more into play here later, is a 2 light. So he's fluid still, I guess. According to Chad, he's still in that fluid range.
Yeah,
Um, court
where he
documents
could go
state,
anyway.
yeah, you can go either way. Court documents state that in October 2018, Chad and Lori started talking about using their religious beliefs to kill Tammy, JJ, and Tylee. So this is like right after they started emailing each other about everything. So they started some kind of like digital relationship with each other, if you will. Like they
Yeah.
started really getting into each other. And this is part of her bouncing around dudes. I don't know what his deal is. Maybe he had like the 7-year 3-time over itch or some shit, because he was with Tammy for a long time.
A long time.
A long time. And in December of 2018, Lori and Chad appeared together on a podcast called Preparing a People that centers around the planning for the end of the world and the second coming of Christ. And then there'll be more, like I said earlier, there'll be photos of this stuff in the Patreon and the Instagram. So that was in December. And then January of 2019, Charles ended up wanting a divorce because Lori started claiming that she was a god assigned to carry out the work of the 144,000 at Christ's second coming in July of 2020, which was last summer. I guess we fucking missed it. We might have slept in. Maybe Jesus said, maybe not this time. We'll get back to you next time.
Yeah.
And that if Charles got in her way of her mission, that she would murder him. Like, she straight said, if you get in my way, I'm gonna fucking drop you, dude. Like, you're done.
Basically.
Yeah. And then Charles ended up calling the police, and there's body cam video of it too, pleading with the cops for her to get mental help. And she was cleared at, they actually took her in, and they cleared her at a facility called the Community Bridges. Charles ended up moving back to Texas, but then kind of stopped the divorce proceeding and wanted to work on the marriage, even though she was living in Arizona still and he was living in Texas. So basically, he just started coming back and forth to try to work on the marriage and to visit JJ, because JJ is his blood family, but because she adopted him too, she has rights to have custody of him.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, one thing about that too that I wanted to bring up is when he was wanting her to seek mental help counseling or something, somebody ended up getting her put into a mental hospital for a 72-hour hold, which they released her within a few hours of her being there.
Yeah.
Which if they would have done that.
She's like a charming lady. She ends up being like, look at me. Hi, I'm fine.
I hate to say this, but the Mormons that I grew up with were very much like that. Very two-faced, very, whatever was happening, they put on a front so everything looked perfect.
Yeah.
Even like on her Wheel of Fortune, when she was on Wheel of Fortune, she was putting on a brave front because in the background, her marriage was falling apart.
Yeah. And she slipped about being a ticking time bomb too. Like, she's trying to hold everything together. Yeah. And this isn't just a disclaimer to people listening.
Exactly.
This is not an attack on Mormons at all. This
not
is just
all.
From her personal experience. So it's not to say that all Mormons are this way. So let's calm down a little bit, guys.
Yeah. There are a few that.
Yeah. So, but since her whole family was Mormon, now her brother Alex, who starts coming into play here really, really soon, he always felt that he was her protector, that he was there in life. His mission in life was to protect Lori from every and anything. And Lori and Alex had like very, very close, similar beliefs to one another. He believed that she was a transcended God. And they claim to have powers. They could teleport. They could make natural disasters happen at will. All kinds of crazy stuff. And that, the people who weren't part of the 144,000 to be saved were zombies. And the only way that their souls could be free was to kill them. So they were like mindset on like murdering the world, basically, because there are bajillions of us around here. So, I mean, good luck.
Exactly.
Yeah. So shortly after she was released from the mental hospital, and Charles was like, you know what, I'm gonna go to Texas, but come back and try to work on things with you. Shortly after, in February, because that happened in January. So the next month in February, Lori like takes off for a couple of months to Hawaii by herself, and she starts leaving the kids with other people. Like, she's just like, I'm so tired. Like, it's so hard watching all these kids. I have to go have a spa day for like a couple months. And then, so on February 12th, so the same month, Charles removes Lori from his $1 million life insurance policy and signs it over to his sister Kay, because he keeps feeling like something's going to happen to him. And if it does, he wants Kay to take care of JJ, and he wants to make sure that her and her husband are financially set up to do so.
Yeah, because they're the blood relatives of JJ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
they're the grandparent role. They were able to keep that grandparent role with JJ, even though he was adopted by them.
Yeah. And there was some stuff that I vaguely remember. I didn't get a chance to go back and find it because I was so caught on trying to get the timeline down. There was some stuff in between there, like he changed the $1 million life insurance policy over to his sister. Somehow Lori found out about it, and I think she was able to change it back into her name.
Really?
And then Charles found out about it and like reported it, and they're like, "Oh no, we'll revert it back." It's something like that. I said, I didn't get a chance to go back, but then because Lori had a shit fit when she found out, she was like, "Oh hell no, I want your money, motherfucker."
Yeah.
And then let's see. Yeah, okay. So then so February, she's gone for a couple months. She comes back. And then in June, oh God, this is where more people start to come into play. Oh. So in June, Lori's niece, Melanie Boudreau, also wanted a divorce from her husband, Brandon, and started expressing that she shared the same beliefs as her Aunt Lori. Brandon was totally thrown off. He thought everything was fine in between them. And he's like, you know what? My wife basically joined a fucking cult. Like, because she never did this. She was part of the Mormon church, but she never did extreme things like this or had extreme beliefs like this before. And Melanie will come back in. There's two Melanies, by the way. There's Melanie Boudreau and then Melanie Gibbs. So I'll try to differentiate the two as we keep going. And then, okay, so she leaves her husband and like gets closer to Lori. And then Charles, this is where it kind of gets like I think it's kind of ha funny. Fuck you, lady. Charles finds emails between Lori and Chad and confronts her. And he says that if she doesn't come clean about her and Chad's relationship, he was going to take what he knew and go to Tammy and tell Tammy everything that her husband was doing behind her back. Lori got pissed. And some of this is discovery from the other day, and a lot of it's redacted, so it's kind of a little choppy. Yeah. So I think everybody who's following this right now is just trying to make sense of some things. So excuse me if I'm a little off. So yeah, he threatened that he was going to go to Tammy and tell Tammy everything. By July of 2019, Charles and another one of Lori's brothers were planning an intervention with Lori about how out of control and erratic she's been acting about her religious beliefs. Fun fact about this other brother, because this one's not Alex. I think his name is Adam. But fun fact about this one, because I remember when it happened, it's very much stayed in my mind. This brother had a morning radio show, and I believe it was in the Bay Area. He had a segment when the Nintendo Wii's came out. He had a segment, and it was like a game called Hold Your Wii for a Wii. And basically, it was a water drinking contest. Like, you drink as much water as you can and not go to the bathroom. And whoever was left had gone to, it's like, you put your hand on the car, and the last person to have their hand on the car wins the car. Basically the same concept, but with water and having to go pee. This mother who was playing the game was trying to win this Wii for her boys. She won. And then I want to say like a day or two later, she died from water intoxication.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So like murder's all up in this picture of Kool-Aid. Yeah. So I mean, he did not intentionally mean to do this. It was like, I mean, who fucking knew you can die from drinking too much water? I mean, and now it's like, I think some people know about it more than it was before.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was like, whoa, you can die from fucking drinking too much water. Who would have thought? I feel bad for the lady. She was just trying to win a game for her kids. Exactly. And she won, but lost at the same time, unfortunately. But this brother and Charles were going to confront Lori about it. And this all came out in the Discovery the other day, too. Apparently this happened on July 10th of 2019, because on July 11th was the day that a lot of shit went down. He showed up, Charles showed back up at Lori's house the next day, which was July 11th, 2019, to pick up JJ for school. And then there's a lot of, you don't really know what happened in this case. Alex, her brother, that's, his life goal is to protect Lori. He actually shot Charles twice and killed him. And Alex claims that he shot him in self-defense because Charles came at him with a baseball bat, and then supposedly Tylee was a witness to it. Lori wasn't even home. And Alex was never fucking arrested for this. Never arrested. They just questioned him and said, okay, it sounds good to me, and then took off.
The stuff that I was reading and looking at, I do remember them saying that at first Kaylee saw him getting rough with her mother and getting angry because he had left his cell phone in on the table or something like that. Her stepdad, I guess it would be, or her dad left his cell phone on the table, and her mom started going through it, I guess, or something to that effect. He accused her of going through his phone, and kind of an argument broke out, and he had been accusing her of cheating with Daybell.
Yeah,
but
he found all that shit.
I think she found something on him on his phone that just looked fishy, so she was pissed too. I think it was just, honestly, I think it was just a reason for her to get upset with him.
Yeah.
But when he got upset with her, I guess he kind of took her by the shoulders and was kind of shaking her. Kaylee ran off to her bedroom, grabbed the baseball bat, and came back. And by that time, Uncle was standing right there. And the dad took the bat from the daughter and tried to hit the uncle with it. And that's when the uncle went back to his bedroom to get his pistol, because he always kept it on him. And that's why it was self-defense.
Okay. So then she was home, because the thing I got was she wasn't home.
Well, she ends up leaving. She's not there at the time of the shooting. Like, shortly after the little scuffle, she grabs the kids and gets them out of the house to take JJ to school.
Gotcha.
And they're on their way to school. And I think it said that he only ate like chicken nuggets or something, chicken fingers from a specific restaurant, and a soda for breakfast, because he's autistic and that's just his routine. That's what they do. So she was doing that. And then her and Kaylee I'm sorry, I keep calling her Kaylee. Am I saying her name right?
Tylee.
Kylie, there we go.
Yeah.
Kylie had come back with her mom. And then there's more police cam footage of them talking to both of them after the fact. But I noticed there was one thing that the report that I saw said, when the officers arrived, if you shoot somebody that close range, there's going to be blood splatter on you, whether it's self-defense or not. You're going to have something on you. And he was completely clean. They didn't see anything in front of him with regards to blood on his clothing or anything like that. Oh, there we go.
It does this every single episode. It kicks me out halfway through. I don't know why it does this. And it's only for the show. It does it for nothing else. Nothing else. I don't know what
mine
it is.
Never does it, does it? Do I go out on you?
No, you're good. I mean, when I do Any Last Words or all these other shows, it never kicks me out. My hands are here, so I'm not touching anything.
Oh, I believe you.
I'm like, fuck. They're going to think I'm just like, but yeah, like, so yeah, okay. So they, that all happened. And while they were gone, when he shot him, he supposedly shot him twice in the chest. Well, in the new discovery that came out on Thursday, that didn't necessarily all happen that way. He shot him once in the chest while he was standing, but in the police report, they found that he had shot him one time when he was laying on the ground, because there was a dent in the floor underneath Charles's body. So he shot him once he was down on the ground too. And then, according to, I guess, like part of the ambulance report, was that Charles had to have been laying there for about 45 minutes before Alex even called 911 and did not perform CPR on him.
I kind of thought that. Sorry, I got to get my charger.
Yeah. So he sat there and like just hung around for 45 minutes with the body laying on the ground, and then called 911.
That's probably why he was so clean when the cops arrived.
Yep.
And he had no blood or no trace evidence on him whatsoever for somebody that just supposedly shot somebody in self-defense.
Yep. So then after that happens, they take Charles out. And then in August, so this happened in July. So then the following month, or it's somewhere between that time and August, Lori moves the kids to Rexburg, Idaho, which is not far from where Chad and Tammy live. Because they live in Salem, Idaho. They moved to Rexburg, Idaho, which is, like I said, it's not that far from them.
No.
And then Lori's niece, Melanie, who just broke up with her husband, and Alex move into a house like next to them. And they live in like it's like like townhouse complex, I want to say. Because they have
a duplex or
something like that.
Something like that.
They're house apartment kind of deals, like the real close proximity. They have like a big courtyard area,
so the kids can play and whatnot.
Yeah.
Now, to go back just a little bit on there, her niece, the one that moved in with them.
Yeah.
Were you going to go into that incident with her husband?
Yeah, it's in here because I wanted to. There was so much stuff I was trying to leave out.
I know.
I make this short, but I couldn't, and I was like, God, this is going to be a multi-parter because there's so much going on and so many people. You can't leave anything out because it all connects. It all comes back around. So shortly after that time of them all moving to Rexburg, Idaho, Tammy was sitting in her car in the driveway when a man. Wait, I feel like I skipped something. I guess I didn't. Okay. So shortly after that time, Tammy was sitting in. No, I feel like I have this already on here. Oh, yep. Nope. I skipped because I didn't cut this out. Let me back up. Okay. So they all moved together, and that was in August. So September 3rd, Lori enrolls JJ in school, but then unenrolls him less than 3 weeks after him being in school, and says she's just gonna homeschool him. But Tylee was never even enrolled in high school because she's only 17, so she's still in high school. And then September 8th, Lori and Alex, this is where it really starts getting sad. On September 8th of 2019, Lori and Alex take JJ and Tylee to Yellowstone National Park. And from the information that the police were able to collect from the park that was the last time anyone had ever seen Tylee, ever after that point. Like there are photos and stuff of her at the park. I don't think they have any evidence of her coming out of the park.
I think that last picture, because it was real foggy as to what happened at the park, because some said that they split off and took a kid in either direction, but at the same time, what happens later kind of puts a wrench in that. So I think she made it back from that, but that was the last time anybody ever physically saw her.
Well, I remember when they were looking for the kids, they were thinking that they took Tylee off into a really deep part of the forest, and that there was kind of like like a dead zone, basically. Like if you're on the border between two states, you can't be charged or something. So that was the conspiracy or a theory that was going on. So they were thinking she was out there, but because it was snowing so much, they're like, well, we're going to have to wait and find out if she's even out there. But they didn't have to get that far, obviously. And that same day that they're at the park, Chad and Tammy up Tammy's life insurance policy to the maximum amount. Just so happens that day, coincidentally.
I think so.
Yeah. And then September 9th, the police got phone records for Alex's phone, placing him on Chad's property. And Chad also has records showing that day that he was texting Tammy about shooting and burying a raccoon in the property's pet cemetery. So we're thinking that's the day that Tylee was buried out there.
Disposed of. Yeah. I think they tracked her brother's phone to coming to her house, leaving his apartment, which wasn't that far from hers. It was like the next block over or something, going from his house to hers at like 2 something in the morning, and then driving all the way out to Daybell's property. And that, because he had done that, I guess Daybell decided to cover his behind by texting Tammy and letting her know about the raccoon. And there was a couple of them that said that there was no raccoon, but they also said there was a raccoon buried near where she was buried.
Yeah. Yeah, because they did have like he said, I buried it in the family pet cemetery because they put
Mm-hmm.
their family dogs out there, any little creatures that they came attached to
Mm-hmm.
were put out there. So he's like, oh yeah, I just shot this little raccoon and I just put him out in the pet cemetery to kind of mask the scene of a fresh grave out there. So
And not to mention, he talked about burning something too, because there was a storm coming
yes.
in. I think there was like wood or something there in the fire pit.
Mm-hmm.
So he made mention of that too, because of the way her remains were found. I
Yeah.
think
Ugh.
that's what that was to disguise.
Yeah. Whew. So on October 1st, a couple weeks later, there's video camera footage from a Lori storage unit
Mhm.
showing her and two guys at different times going back and forth 9 times. And one of them ends up being Chad, and then the other ends up being Alex. And the cops later found that it only had Tylee and JJ's stuff in it. Like there was photo albums, a bike,
Mhm.
just little things that belonged to just them. There was nothing of
Nothing.
Lori's in there.
I
Um,
did I did see one shot of the camera footage where
mm-hmm.
they were taking a tire. Now
Yes.
that's why I was bringing up what happened to the niece's husband or ex-husband,
Yeah.
because the tire was off of the back of a Jeep that
Mm-hmm.
was registered in Texas, I believe.
It was Charles's
It
Jeep.
was Charles's Jeep, but it was parked out in front of her her niece's house.
Mm-hmm.
So um the ex-husband, or at the time, I don't know if they were completely divorced at this point or
I don't
not.
think so.
I think they were just separated at that time.
Yeah.
But he notices the vehicle, he recognizes it, and as because he's pulling up to his property, as
Mm-hmm.
he's pulling up, he sees the back window pop open of the Jeep, and the next thing you know, there's a bullet in his windshield right above his head.
Yes. Like it barely missed him. That was the
Barely
next
missed
day.
him.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was on October 2nd.
Okay, I couldn't
Um,
remember the time frame. I knew it was close to this,
yeah,
so
no, you're absolutely right. And he said he recognized the Jeep, and they did confirm later that it was Alex driving the Jeep, and then it was Charles's Jeep. Like homeboy's dead, and you're using his
mhm,
shit. And
mhm,
then later in that same day, when Alex is out like and tries to kill Brandon Bordeaux,
mhm.
that same day it shows that Lori was on Amazon and bought a wedding ring for her and Chad and bought a wedding dress, and they used Charles's fucking credit card to do that. Homeboy's
He
fucking dead. You fucking rotten little
they used his
bitch.
Amazon account, and
Mm-hmm.
she bought the ring that was later in the video, or the
Yeah.
pictures from the wedding, and her dress and all kinds of stuff.
Yep. And
That's
then
how, yeah.
yeah, it's fucking rotten ass stingy bitch. Like really,
Long
homeboy's dead,
before
and
his, at least a couple weeks before his wife was even dead.
yeah, because on the 9th, October 9th, Tammy calls the police to report that a masked man had shot at her while she was in her car with a paintball gun, a masked man. And then she
Mhm.
even posted it on social media. Like she was like, "This is fucking
He
weird."
he came up and like held it to her and was
Oh,
threatening her, basically,
I
in a
didn't get
way.
that one.
The one
Whew.
I saw said that she was getting groceries out of the car or something, and he walked up behind her and pointed it at her and just kind of like scared her, I guess. I don't
Oh,
know if they were just, I know she was training for a marathon at this time
yes.
too, which I always thought it was pretty fishy that somebody that's
Mm-hmm.
training for a marathon just falls
Dies.
out.
Yeah.
Supposedly, with no, because at that time I hadn't heard about Thursday's stuff yet. Um,
Yeah.
at that time, they only knew that it was from natural causes because he never wanted an autopsy.
Yeah. So that on October 9th, that's when that all happened with Alex, like with the paintball gun and,
Yeah.
being basically attacked.
Hmm.
So on October 19th of 2019, Chad called the police and said that Tammy had died in her sleep. He
Hmm.
told everybody that she hadn't been feeling well and she went to bed with a bad cough and then she died in her sleep and that the kids were there at the house and blah, 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 blah. He didn't want to do an autopsy because of the religion So just bury her. Just hurry up and bury her. Which, if he was smart, he would have just had her fucking cremated, honestly. Just saying. Because let's see. Oh, yeah. So then on October 25th, and remember, like, she had already come up missing in September. That was, well, not missing, but that was the last time anybody had seen her was in September at the Yellowstone Park. So October 25th, a friend of Tylee's reports that she got a text message on her phone from Tylee's phone saying, "Hi, miss you, love ya." And then I want to say that she had activity on like her PayPal or her Venmo account. So Lori was fucking with her money too.
Yep.
And Lori was also still collecting like Social Security for Tylee at this time.
Oh,
This
wow.
girl is gone. And so November 5th, a couple weeks later, Chad and Lori run off to Hawaii to get married on a beach without Tylee and JJ. And then they return a few weeks later back to Rexburg, to Lori's home. And JJ always did video chats with Kay and her husband all the time. They were very, very close. They loved him. So they just adored this little boy. And he was just so cute. I'm so sorry. He was just a cute little boy. And he looked like he was so much fun to be around. Yeah. And she hadn't heard anything from him in a couple of months. Like Lori kept making excuses why he couldn't talk on the phone or this or that. And so on November 26th, so like around Thanksgiving time, maybe a day after Thanksgiving or so, she called the police in concern because she hadn't talked to him. She didn't get to talk to him on Thanksgiving. She wanted a welfare check done at Lori's house. And Chad at this time had already been going around telling people that that he knew that Lori, because he's married, it's out that he's married to a new woman already. He said that Lori had no minor children. And Lori was going around telling everybody that Tylee died earlier in the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know anything about that part right there.
Yeah, there's so much, the plot twist left and fucking right.
Right.
But yeah, so she's going around telling everybody that Tylee's already dead and Chad's saying she has no children. So the police came to the house the day after the welfare check was called for. And let's see.
Told her she had to produce the kids in so many days or something?
No, not yet.
No,
not yet.
Not yet.
That was later. They talked. So when they went to the house to talk to Lori, Chad was there because they didn't know that the cops were coming to just do a welfare check because that's a fucking surprise deal. They're like, "Hey, we don't want you to do nothing. Surprise, where are your fucking kids?" She told the cops that Tylee was off at college. Tylee's still in fucking high school. How is she?
Yeah, but she's supposedly off at a Mormon college.
Yeah, some shit like
which
that.
The cops could instantly find out that she wasn't enrolled in there.
Yeah,
within just calling to find out.
Yeah, so she's off. So Tylee's off at college, and she's saying that JJ is back in Arizona with her friend Melanie. So this is Melanie Gibb, who comes to play in a little bit more. And I fucking applaud this woman. That's all I know.
Do too.
So then the cops are like, okay. It kind of looks at Chad and it kind of looks at her and they're like, all right. So then they kind of take her word for it, kind of, and they leave. And then they start looking into like, well, we want to verify that these kids are where they say they are, especially more so JJ, because they're JJ's grandparents that are calling for this welfare check, and he's a very small child. So Lori calls Melanie Gibb and says, "Hey, girlfriend, the cops are looking for JJ, and no big deal or anything." I'm paraphrasing, by the way. No big deal or anything, but like, could you just tell them, like, or just lie for me? Like, she's asking this woman to lie to the fucking cops for her because she's trying to fucking hide JJ out. Well, JJ's not even around at this point, honestly, unfortunately. And then so the cops talk to Melanie Gibb, and Melanie's like, "I ain't lying for this bitch." She's like, "No, I don't have the kids. I don't have JJ." And the cops are like, "Really?" So the next day they go back. When they go back, Chad fucking booked it. He was already gone. He's like, "I don't need no part of this shit, peace, because I already got shit that I'm doing that I'm not trying to get caught up in. So I need to go." So he left. And then on December 1st, which is like not even a week later, like maybe half a week later. No, maybe about a week later. Lori and Chad take off to Hawaii, and there are
Again.
still no, yeah, again, and there are still no children with them. And I thought it was funny because this started becoming like more and more prevalent in the news. Like they're
Yeah.
looking for these kids. This lady is starting to look suspicious. This guy, his wife has died of natural causes.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a lady took a video of them at like a car rental place, and like the East Idaho News has been all over this shit. Like the reporter that has been on top of this, he is actually being indicted to go to trial
Oh,
as a
wow.
witness and as somebody who knows a lot of information. So good for him too. I'm so glad that this guy was like very into
Mm-hmm.
this case and stuck with it. And this is where I
Yeah.
got a lot. I mean, some of this I got from a lot of other sources, but a big bulk of this I've gotten from watching this reporter and the
Mm-hmm.
East Idaho News, because they're very, very on top of this. They're very accurate
Mm-hmm.
with what's going on. And let's see. I think I can keep going. Oh, no, wait. I don't know if I can keep going. We're at the hour mark, and I know people have very short attention spans. I don't know. If you want, we'll keep talking. I'll just break this up into 2 parts, like later in the audio. I don't know. You want to keep going,
There
or
we
do you
go.
want to take a break and go?
Whatever you want to do. I'm
Shit,
good
because it's
either
so
way.
good, man. Okay, so I'll just keep going for a minute. Okay, so then, so yeah, they book it off back to Hawaii without the kids, and then so December 11th, so about almost 2 weeks later, the cops figure out that Tammy's death sounds pretty fucking suspicious. And they're like, there wasn't an autopsy done. We just kind of took this dude's word for it. Shit's getting fishy. Let's exhume the body and figure out what the fuck's going on with this lady. So they dig her up. They will not tell anybody how she fucking died, but they're now saying that it was not natural causes, that she was
Okay.
murdered. She was,
Okay.
in fact, murdered, but they will not tell us how. And that's fine because it's an ongoing investigation. It gives us more surprises later on.
Exactly.
So then the next day, December 12th, good old brother Alex dies.
Oh yeah, I think you did forget a part where
Oh no.
when she went to Idaho, her brother went the other direction. He went to Las Vegas.
Yes.
He picked up his girlfriend at the time, which I don't think they had been dating for very long.
I don't think so either. But she was part of the whole cult
Very
deal
much a
too,
part
coming
of,
out now.
like she was a spiritual healer.
Yes.
Kind of along the same lines as what they all believed she believed as well.
Yeah.
They went and got married, and then yeah.
Well, interesting enough about that, because I think it is in here somewhere later, maybe in my side notes.
Might be.
So they ran off to Vegas. Alex and what's her name, Zuma or Zuma? Something weird.
Yeah, something
weird.
that I'm not good at pronouncing.
Yeah, I'm not either. And they don't really talk about her much. It's just up until maybe about Thursday they actually start talking to her, because she's in a lot of the new Discovery. So she's kind of a new person-ish in this now.
Yeah, because I was going to say what I saw, there wasn't very much info, and then he dies. And
yeah. Well, when they ran off to Vegas, they had nobody with them. It was just them. They went to Vegas. They got married. He took her last name.
Yep.
And they actually like interviewed the priest or the minister, whatever his title is, about it, and he says, yeah, I vividly remember, I very much distinctly remember that, because they had no witnesses. The security guard
had to sign
for the chapel had to sign as a witness, and that he had taken her last name, and that the wedding was very rushed, and it was very cold, and not there was no emotion in it. It was just kind of weird.
No pictures of the happy couple, and she paid for everything.
Yeah, very, very fucking weird. And the thought behind that is that if you're married and you go to trial, you can't testify against your spouse.
That's what I thought too. I thought he has to tell somebody something along the way about what happened. And the only way to do that is what he did. I don't know if he finally got to tell her, or if he told her everything beforehand and then got married.
In the Discovery that I just watched on Thursday, thank you, East Idaho's News, because you guys get all this shit first, and I fucking love you for it. In the new Discovery that they got, and like I said, it's heavily redacted. Like, so much shit is blacked out in it, because it's still, they were trying to save some stuff for the trial.
Gotcha.
she, like you said, she's, you know, she's a spiritual healer and shit like that.
Mhm.
There's a lot of text correspondence between Lori and her talking
Ooh,
about they need to go pray on Charles, go to the chapel and pray for Charles to get rid of him because they thought that he was being possessed by a demon called Ned Schneider.
okay.
And that Tammy was possessed by a spirit called Olivia or or
Oh,
Violet, some kind of like a pretty weird name you don't hear
yeah.
anymore. Um,
Mhm.
but she is very much involved in this now too. Like that, I'm
Mhm.
speculating that she is going to be also indicted at some point for conspiracy or
Gotcha.
some kind of connection to this. Because in all this new discovery, it coming to find out that she was very aware of everything that was going on, and she also was a believer in Lori. Like she drank the fucking Kool-Aid too.
Kool-Aid too.
Yeah.
And see, the one thing once Alex is actually found unresponsive
Mhm.
by her son. Her
Yes.
son didn't even know they had gotten married.
No. And then
And then like he just describes him as this guy named Alex, my mom's
mhm,
boyfriend.
my mom's boyfriend.
Exactly. And he didn't know his last name.
Uh-huh.
And in the background you can hear, I think it's like 5 minutes into the emergency call, that mom shows back up.
Mhm.
The new wife shows up and you can't hear her distraught or anything.
Because
You
there's
don't
new
hear her
discovery.
at all.
Because there's new discovery, and I'm going to get into that right now. So what
I had
happens?
to, I had to, I had to put my little tidbits in
No,
there.
no, I want you to. I want you to. So when that happened on that, so when he died, when his stepson basically found him dead, he
Mhm.
was in the bathroom, kind of wedged between the toilet and the bathtub, and this kid did not like he's on the phone with 911. The actual the recording is actually released. You can listen to the
Yeah.
911 and there's a blurred body cam video so you can't even see
Oh,
anything,
anything.
not even them coming up to the door. It's all blurred out. So I'm like, what the fuck is the point?
Gotcha.
Just blur out when you see the body, dude. Like we want to see
Yeah,
everything
right.
else. It gets annoying to watch. But anyway, he's on the phone with the operator and like, oh yeah, he's passed out. It's my mom's boyfriend, this and that. Fucking gardeners are here. Um, um, they're trying to get him to perform CPR on him. And he's like, no, I can't. And they're like, why? And he goes, well, there's feces everywhere. And the operator's like, I understand. So he's already fucking dead. Like this dude's gone if he's already that far. But the
Yeah.
operator's like, well, I need you to try to help him until somebody can get there to help him. And he's just like, no, no. Like he
He's
flat out
25
fucking
years old.
refuses.
You
Yeah.
know, he's not like he's a young kid. You know what I mean? There was no reason why he couldn't have done something like that, except he didn't want to.
He didn't want, yeah, either because he didn't like this guy or maybe he wanted to make sure this guy stayed dead. Because
Something.
obviously Alex knows everything.
Mhm.
Everything.
Everything
So,
about this case.
so I'm wondering how much the son knows. Because if
That's what I'm
yeah,
thinking.
if mom's strictly into this shit, son's got to know something about what the fuck's
Something.
going on. Something. Um, so when the police get there and they take him, they again, I don't know how the fucking cops are always dropping the ball on this shit. Like in so many different cases too, not just this one.
I
But
was just gonna say that Rob and I were talking last night, and I told him I'm gonna say that tomorrow. I honestly, I have no faith in this justice system
no,
anymore.
fuck the police, man.
But
Fuck
the
this shit.
police. But it's just it's pitiful and sad to see that these people are supposed to be here to protect us, and at every cost they try to turn it around on whoever they're investigating or whatever the
Yeah.
case may be. And it's just it's ridiculous. There's so many innocent people that have sat in prison for way too many
Yep.
years. That makes me sick, and yet there are other how can I say it? Predators that
Mm-hmm.
are just
Yeah.
home free and think they're
Mm-hmm.
the bee's knees because they got away with it and keep doing it.
Yep.
And it just makes you wonder how many more didn't get caught.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, there's all kind of cops don't do shit, and that's the thing. It's a little side talk right here.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to keep in mind because I don't know how I say this all the fucking time because the cops piss me off so bad, and
Mhm.
I know it's not every single cop, but it is
Yeah.
a big fucking majority of them. The cops are civil servants. They are civil servants, which means We are their bosses, basically. They are here
Exactly.
for us. Our tax dollars literally pay their fucking paychecks so they can go have their big fucking lifted trucks and their 3-bedroom, 2-story fucking houses and go on their fucking vacations and shit.
Vacations.
They work for us, but they don't do shit except for whatever the fuck they want to do when they feel like doing it.
When they feel like
Yeah.
it. That's the key phrase there.
Yeah, and this is what this feels like several times in this case. Like just taking someone's word for it because it's easy. Whatever,
Exactly.
easy day for me. That's what it
Easy day
feels
for me.
like. Until
Yep. Or
something
like,
else
I don't want
comes
to be
out.
bothered today, so
Yeah,
we'll let it go
exactly.
today.
My fucking coffee's getting cold in the car, guys. Can we wrap this shit the fuck up? Like, fuck. Like, Dunkin' Donuts is almost out of fucking bacon maple fucking bars. I gotta get out of here. Fuck this shit, dude. But like I said, I know it's not every single cop. I know there are a lot out there that have really good intentions, that really do want to help people. But there are just too many fucked up ones out there that do just anyway.
That ruin it for the good ones.
Exactly. Takes one asshole to
one
fucking
bad
ruin
apple
it.
can spoil the whole bunch.
So when they scooped up Alex that day, they basically said that he had like a blood clot in his lungs and he had like a pulmonary embolism or some shit like that, I think.
Yeah, something like that, or heart attack or something.
Yeah, from high blood pressure. And he had asthma and this and that and whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. But now they're starting to talk about that it is looking very suspicious. Fuck.
Duh.
Yeah. And I was watching this podcast the other day. It was a guy, I think he's like he's a lawyer or a psychologist or some shit like that. I've never seen it before. I just came across it after I watched all the new discoveries. Like, I gotta have more. Like, keep the garbage.
I need the juice.
Yeah. So this guy was talking about, because I thought about this too. I'm like, well, couldn't they have been poisoned? But then I was like, well, maybe they would have found the poison.
And see, that's what I was thinking too. Because I told Rob when we first started watching this case, I was like, no, I think either the mother, she got the kids immobilized somehow. Somehow. Now, mind you, they're preppers.
Yeah.
So they stock up on medications and all kinds of stuff. Now, granted, she never really went to the hospital for anything, but apparently they had medications on hand.
Oh, because that was the thing too. Because Alex would go to Mexico, and you can get all kinds of shit in Mexico,
whatever,
without any question, comments, or concern about it. So I mean, and that is what it is. I know a lot of people who go to Mexico to get like antibiotics and shit.
Oh yeah, prescription drugs.
Yeah, because they don't have insurance or because it costs too much here, so they'll go to Mexico and get it for like $5 a bottle.
$5, whatever they need. Yeah. Exactly. I know people that have done it too, and it
it is what it is. I'm not faulting anybody for it because our healthcare system sucks here, so whatever.
Exactly.
But it was funny because Tammy had like a pink foam in her mouth. And so did Alex. That's what was making me think that they were poisoned or something. But Tammy wasn't. They didn't do the autopsy on Tammy at first, but then they did. Then Alex had the pink foam in his mouth, and they wanted to say that it was like high blood pressure, and then he had a heart attack, and it was asthma, and it did this and that, and whatever they want to say about Alex. He's a piece of shit. But anyway, I digress. But this podcast I was watching the other day, I guess he had done some research, and I guess there's a chemical in a pesticide. It's like a natural chemical. It's a natural element in a pesticide that can cause that, and it can make your blood pressure go up and cause you to have a heart attack.
That's what I was thinking. Now, me being a Breaking Bad fan, I thought they poisoned them with ricin or something along that line.
I did too. I was like, science.
I was like, they had to incapacitate the kids for the uncle to be able to do whatever he did do with them. I think mom made sure that they were gone or at least knocked out to where they could be taken care of the rest of the way without
question, comments, or concerns.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, supposedly in this new discovery also, on the day that Alex died, was that Alex had called Chad before he died to have Chad bless his soul.
Whoa.
And then Chad turned around and called Alex's wife, Zuma, or whatever her name was, and said, I'm worried about Alex. You should go check on him. That's why she ended up being at home.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I still think that's kind of funny and fishy and don't fucking sound right. I think they're trying to X out Alex because they're getting closer to shit. And they're like, we got to
Exactly.
get homeboy out of here
We got to
too.
get him out of here, because this was another thing that a lot of the family members said about Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he was kind of somewhat the oddball, the quiet guy, the socially awkward, if you will, but he was a comedian. So he tried to make
Yeah.
jokes about everything. But at
Like
the same
literally, he was a
time,
stand-up comedian.
exactly. Exactly. At the same time, if you confronted him and you found out that he had done something wrong, he would confess right then and there to you.
Yeah, that's
So
right. I
that's
fucking heard
why I
about that.
think he had to go, because if they would have confronted him,
That's
and if he's so
right.
honest, like the whole family says, because I guess there was a lot of people that also thought that he murdered the kids, and also had
Mm-hmm.
something to do with the niece's husband being shot. Because again, that stuff didn't come out until
Yeah.
later on, but um a lot of people considered him the family murderer, or the
Yeah, the
family
family
get her
hitman.
done hitman. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. It was, and they always said it kind of jokingly, like, "Oh yeah, that's Alex. He's the family
Hitman.
hitman."
Exactly. And it's funny because when the niece confronted him about the whole shooting with her husband, or her soon to be ex-husband, or whatever at the time,
Hmm.
he made a joke about it. He didn't come out and say, yeah, I did it, or, like they said he had normally done if you
Hmm.
confronted him with stuff. He never straight up said, yeah, I did it, except in a joking manner. I did
Yeah.
remember seeing that.
Well, maybe he told the truth because of his religion, but he was like, he had consumed so much of Lori's Kool-Aid. That's why he kept
Kool-Aid.
protecting her and justifying being
Mhm.
able to kill people. Because when they were in Vegas, him and his new wife were in Vegas. They stayed in Vegas after they were married because they were
Mhm.
preparing for an earthquake that they were supposedly going to, and this is all in the new discovery from Thursday, and
Oh,
that's why it's just
wow.
now popping in my head because it's
Yeah,
fresh
I
for
got
me.
you.
It's not stuff I've repeatedly watched. But in the discovery, like they stayed in Vegas after they got married, because they were preparing to they were going to cause an earthquake, and they
Yeah,
were going to
that's right,
start
because of their powers.
yeah, and
Or
they were
they,
going to start taking out the zombies because the
yeah.
zombies were the non-believers, the people who weren't of the 144,000 that were going to come for that second
And,
coming of Christ.
and a lot
Uh,
too, some of the people said that uh, Lori used that term about her kids a lot.
yeah, that they were
Zombies.
zombies. They were zombies. They were zombified. They weren't her children
Well,
anymore.
because I guess shortly before he was last seen on video cam with his
Mm-hmm.
grandmother, um, he's highly autistic. She said he was always
Yeah.
moving, quickest little boy ever. And then all of a sudden, Lori said he's just sitting there calmly watching TV, and he had changed. So she's like, "That's not my little boy. You're a zombie, because now you're
He's
just sitting there
They're probably on
peacefully."
Xanax or some shit. They probably got his
Thank
ass
you.
medicated up. I mean, if you're autistic, I mean, I'm not saying that he
That's
had
the right, yeah,
that he had
but
ADHD or anything, but if he sometimes
if,
when you're autistic,
mhm,
you have other things. My
mhm,
brother was autistic, and he had like very high anxiety, and he could have greatly benefited from like Xanax or some shit. But that shit
mhm.
zombifies you the fuck out. Like,
It
I'm not
does.
saying
It
that's what
really
happened.
does.
It's just speculation. But and
But
that's where that Melanie Gibb come into. Um,
mhm,
and I'll say it now, so I don't have to say it at the end. But when she comes out, she starts like confessing to the cops that like, yeah, like she showed up when her and Chad were like married or whatever,
mhm.
and it was like after Tylee was gone, but
Oh,
JJ was
wow.
still there. That Lori started going off to Melanie Gibb saying that JJ's been out of control. He's been climbing up on the cabinets. He's like he's a little zombie or he's possessed by a demon. I'm paraphrasing
Yeah,
slightly, but that he was just out of control. And then
exactly.
he was in his room at this time, and then all of a sudden, Alex comes over and takes JJ to his house next door or the next one over, whatever.
Yeah.
But JJ was out cold, like he was like limp, and I think that's when he was done for. Was
Yeah,
probably that
I
night.
think so too.
Yeah.
I think, again, something was slipped to those kids to make them incapacitated.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
2 o'clock in the morning for the daughter, it, it just, it's mind-boggling. The day they come back from that trip to the Grand Canyon, that's where it was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yellowstone National Park.
Yellowstone. I knew it was close.
But see, the thing is, though, is that when there was the last day for JJ being seen later on, there's like a doorbell camera from across the house across the
That's right.
street.
And he's
Because
playing
that
with one of the
lady's
little
son,
boys.
yeah, the lady's son played with JJ because they were about
Yep.
similar in age. That was, and I think I have the date on here for that, but that was the last time he was seen. But what they couldn't find that for Tylee.
No.
The only time they ever found Tylee was at the Yellowstone National Park. That's why they thought that they had taken her out into the forest somewhere and disposed of her body or did whatever they did to her. They might have, and then he came back later on and picked her up and moved her. It's still not all out yet. We don't know everything yet because they're still holding so much. So eventually we'll know everything.
Oh yeah.
But on the 20th of December 2019, the cops finally announced that the kids are missing and that Chad and Lori are persons of interest in the disappearance of the children and of Tammy's death, because now it's suspicious. They've already dug her up and did her autopsy. The 30th, the cops state that Chad and Lori either know what happened to the kids or where they are, but they are refusing to cooperate. And they're back in Hawaii at this time. Like, this is when they up and bounce, because they went right after Thanksgiving and the welfare check happened. So then January 3rd of 2020, which was last year when shit really started hitting the fan with this, the cops serve the first search warrant to Chad's home in Salem, Idaho. They, and they're still in Hawaii. They take out of Chad's home 43 items of interest. Yeah. They take cell phones, computers, journals, different types of documents, and medications. Alex was going to Mexico to get medications. They had medications in their home, and like you said, they never went to the doctor, so how'd they get this shit? So, like 3 weeks later, January 25th, the Hawaii police get involved in this shit because they're like, man, like, we don't even like what the fuck's going on right now.
And you're causing a ruckus in our
we're peaceful.
paradise.
Yeah, we just want to, get laid, physically and metaphorically, and have luau's and just like be in peace and harmony, bruh. So so the Hawaiian police get involved, and they tell Lori, you have 5 days to produce these children. You have 5 days to tell us where they're at, or to show us where the fuck these kids are at. We need to know something now, because this is insane. These are children that are involved. So so then January 30th, Lori fails to produce the kids by the deadline. JJ's grandparents are really upset. They're very concerned, but they're keeping their cool. This is what I like, is that they're really keeping their cool about a lot of this. They go on TV and they start talking about this. They do kind of like a press conference. And they're very disappointed that Lori will not produce the children. They just want to know. I mean, Tylee's not theirs, but they're concerned about her as well. Not as much as JJ, but they are concerned about her as well.
But the one that I watched had her biological aunt sitting there, the daughter's aunt, from
Melanie.
one of her. Melanie was that Melanie? Okay.
Yeah.
Because there was another one with short, like red hair or something like that. Kind of like a reddish orange. And she's like, I'm here to stand for her because I want to know what's going on, and her dad's not around to, or something to that effect. Like, her dad's not
that was
here.
Joseph's sister. That was Joseph's sister. Because Lori had the call on what happened with Joseph Ryan's body.
That's right.
She wanted him cremated. She did not want an autopsy on him as well. She waited a long time because, like I said, Joseph also had children from a previous. Or no. Charles
did.
Charles had kids from another relationship. After Charles died, she waited a long time to even tell those kids, and then she was all nonchalant about it. She's like, "Yeah, your dad's dead."
See, I didn't know all that.
Yeah, no, that's why I was like, damn it, I missed so much, because this would have been longer than 6 pages typed out. This would have been like 50 pages typed out with so much shit going on. So I'm remembering shit as we go. But but it was weird because this came out in the Discovery too the other day. Is the sister was like, Lori had shit that she wasn't supposed to have had from Joseph's house that she couldn't have possibly had before he died. because Joseph was on his way to go like do some visiting with Tylee or to go
Mm-hmm.
pick her up because he had like girl items like getting ready to pack up.
Yeah.
But Lori had like photo albums and like a bunch of other shit that were in Joseph's house before he died. So they're thinking that she was either in the house or that maybe Alex was in the house. Speculation, total speculation. We don't know yet because shit's redacted like a motherfucker.
Yes.
So that, but in conspiracy of everything, in theory of everything else that's been going on, maybe Alex got in Joseph's house for some reason, or maybe he armed his way in the house and forced him to be poisoned, and then took some shit, maybe for Tylee's behalf. Like, here's a photo album, here's this, here's that, from your daddy. And then, after everything happened, it's like, oh yeah, here to his sister, to Joseph's sister, here's a photo album back, and here's this and that. It's like, bitch, how'd you get this? You weren't supposed to have this. So yeah, that's newer stuff too. So where was I at?
Sorry, I got you all lost.
No, it's cool. There's just so much going on. It's like ridiculous. Okay, so January 30th, she fails to produce the kids. February 20th, Lori, and only Lori, is arrested and put on a $5 million bond in Hawaii with 2 felony counts of child desertion and non-support of dependent children because Tylee's 17 and JJ's 7. But bitch is still collecting Social Security monthly for these 2 kids. Keep that in mind, guys. Bitch wants all of that money. March 5th, they keep trying to like lower her bond. Her lawyer keeps trying to lower her bond from $5 million to like, I think he was trying to get it at like $10,000. And then
I think the last thing I saw was at like $3 million. They went down from 5 to 3 or something.
It went to
like
1.
That.
It actually went to 1.
Okay.
But he kept like trying to like get it at ridiculous like low amounts. He's like, oh, $10,000 bond. No. How about $100,000? No. Like, well, shit. Because he's saying, it's not right to put her up, at such a high bond. It's like, well, it ain't right that this bitch is holding out all these fucking kids either. Exactly. Like, what the fuck? Like, really, dude, you're a lawyer. I hope you don't have fucking kids and that something happens to your fucking kid because you wouldn't even you would not feel that fucking way you'd be pissed at that lawyer. You'd be like, fuck you piece of shit. Those are children.
Innocent children.
Yes, innocent fucking children. So on March 5th, because at first she like waives her right to be extradited back to Idaho. She's like, I'm just gonna chill out here in Hawaii jail.
They're like, no, get the hell out.
Yeah, basically they were like, no, bitch, we don't want no part of you. You gotta leave. So on the 5th, she's sent from Hawaii jail back to Idaho. She's still not saying where the kids are or what's going on. They're still trying to reduce her bail, and eventually, when she's in Idaho, they get it down to the $1 million. Then on April 9th, the next month, the Idaho Attorney General stated that Chad and Lori both are now under investigation for conspiracy, attempt, and or murder. So then some more time kind of passes, and then now we're into June 9th of 2020, 2 years, almost 2 years to the day after Charles's murder. They do another search on Chad's property. And that's where they find the remains of Tylee and JJ. They arrested Chad on concealment, distribution, and alteration of evidence, and he gets $1 million bond. And, oh, God. So I didn't write this part down because I remember somewhat. I don't really want to remember so much because they are children. Yeah. Even though she's 17, she's basically an adult. She's still a fucking kid, dude. Like, she's still a fucking kid.
I've got a 16-year-old that's going to be 17 in December.
Still a kid. Still a kid.
Sorry, man. No way.
Yeah. And I don't like even horror movies. I really don't like watching horror movies where little kids are hurt or animals are even hurt, but it bothers me more when I see kids hurt. There's some things I can kind of slide past, but this is real life.
Yeah.
And so that kind of hurts my heart a little bit, especially like JJ because he was autistic. And I mean, just both of them, basically. They're just fucking, anyway, they're just kids. Yeah. But JJ was wrapped up in a tarp and he was taped up, intact, and he was buried. Tylee was not. Tylee was decapitated and her body was burned up in pieces. And if anybody, I mean, a lot of people are into true crime. Obviously, if you're watching this, you'll know that you cannot burn a fucking body. It doesn't matter how many times you burn a body, you cannot disintegrate a body. That's why at crematoriums, they go at like a high fucking rate for hours. Regular like fire pits and shit, I think they only get to like 1400 degrees or 1200 degrees, I think. At crematoriums, they get to thousands and thousands and thousands of degrees to be able to break down these bones, and they're still not broken down all the way. Exactly. I got my brother, who was autistic and passed away a few years ago. I had him cremated, not for same reasons. I'm just gonna say that.
I know.
He had a heart attack, but we lived way away from each other.
Yeah.
But when I got him back when I drove all the way back up to the Bay Area to get him from the crematorium, and I had to transfer him from this. They give you the person's remains in a bag, and then they put them in a cardboard box.
Yeah.
And they try to make it look like it came from a fucking bakery, but there ain't nothing fucking sweet and special about this shit. So when you're transferring from the bag to the urn or whatever you're going to put them in, there are still bone fragments.
Mm-hmm.
There are still and I mean, that's kind of disturbed. Like, I was pretty disturbed having to do that, but I was just like thinking about it. It's like, God, like not even this at a crematorium can completely break down a body. So there was still very much Tylee there. Like, she was burnt up, but she was still very much there. So they failed on that shit. And Chad, if you worked for a fucking cemetery and you were a gravedigger, you should have fucking known this shit, bro. But I guess the neighbors had reported that there were like several fires going for a long time in his yard.
Gotcha.
So I'm wondering if he tried several times to burn it.
Yeah. I do remember watching in one that JJ's grandparents actually went out to the property.
Yes.
Like the year, 6 months before they found the bodies, I want to say roughly. Mm-hmm. And he basically said, the grandfather said, you see this open spot right here? I bet you anything JJ's somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And that's almost exactly where he was.
Yep. Because they were this was before Chad was arrested. They were
exactly
going around trying where the fuck are my kids? Where are the kids at, man? We just want to know where the kids are. Just fucking tell us so we have some kind of closure, or we can get them back or whatever. So after they arrested Chad, there was a lot of back and forth in court, basically. And I forget who Robert Wood is the attorney for. If he's for Chad or Lori or both, I don't know. I know he's for one or the other. But he wants to have their cases combined because when they finally go to trial, because they're basically going to they don't want to have to do this twice, basically.
I gotcha.
So, because it's the same evidence, they don't want to have to talk about it twice. Let's just put them together and get this shit over with. I mean, however you're going to try these people or sentence them, you can do that separately, but we want to try them together.
Yeah, because I remember when she was arrested, or she was actually in jail at the time of them searching his property.
He called her.
Property. She called him.
Or she called, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she called him, and he was like, hey, they're searching the property again. You might want to get a hold of our lawyer.
Yeah.
So I remember him saying that, but I don't remember the lawyer's name.
Yeah, and there's a lot of lawyers. There's a judge.
I'm sure they've come and gone. Yeah.
There was a judge that backed out of the case. He's like, no, fuck this shit. I don't want no part of this. Or whatever his reasons was. He backed out. They got a new judge for the case. There were lawyers that bounced in and out of this for different reasons. There's just so much going on. Sometimes it's hard to remember every little detail that's going on. So in January of this year, 2021, East Idaho News released a recording of Lori telling someone that she was going to murder Joseph Ryan, but she became closer to God, so she didn't feel the need to do that anymore. You know what? Honestly, I mean, it's kind of weird in that case because, everything that's happened makes it look really bad. But this motherfucker was molesting her child and abusing everybody. I would have said the same bullshit. Close to God or close to the devil, I don't give a shit. I would have said, no, I'm going to murder this motherfucker. You touch my kid like that, you're done. You're fucking done, dude. You're done.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, because obviously this guy was never charged with anything. He never went to jail. Nothing stuck. so he's one of the ones that gets to walk away scot-free. Motherfucker, I'm coming for you. You're done. But then all this other shit happens, so that doesn't really help her at all right now.
No, right?
So, I mean, in this, like I said earlier, in this little instance in her life, I cannot fault her at any fault, at any time, at anything for this, because that's a very exceptional part of her life.
Oh, yeah.
That I think a lot of mothers and fathers and grandparents and people who care about children or have ever been victims of this can relate to.
Yeah.
Well, not relate to, but sympathize with, maybe.
Kind of envy, if you will.
Yeah.
If they didn't have the right protection from family members like they should have.
Yeah. So finally, we are very much at the end of this right now for what we have going on in this timeline and the information that we have currently. Finally, June 8th, 2021, Lori is sent to the Department of Health and Welfare, and a psychologist says that Lori is not fit for trial. So she has 90 days to restore to her mental capacity. Also, they said she's destitute because she has no money. Because she's not getting the money from JJ and Tylee's accounts for their Social Security. She wasn't getting the life insurance policy from Charles's death.
Mm-hmm.
They took that money back from Tammy's death.
Awesome.
That life insurance policy that they had, they took all that money back. They're like, no, fuck you, homie. We're taking this shit. That is not yours. So she's got to restore her mental capacity, but she's already been checked by a mental health clinic before, and they said, oh no, homegirl's good. So now it's kind of playing to her. I think she's playing, honestly, because it was convenient.
It goes back to being manipulative.
Very much.
Again, it's not all Mormon folks, but a lot of them like to put on a front, regardless of what's going on at home. Even people that aren't Mormon do the same thing. But I see it a lot. I've seen it a lot. They will put that fake facade on, just everything's hunky-dory, and then deep down inside, it's not hunky-dory.
Yeah.
Very narcissistic, if you will.
Yes. And she was very manipulative, because she got all these people to drink her Kool-Aid again. She got all these people to believe her and think that she was just, this very soft, light, pleasant woman that just loved her children, and she was just, she was a pageant queen and shit.
She may have been when she was younger. However, something switched. I don't know if it was just the interaction with Daybell that really got her to start thinking more erratically, if you will, or what's the word I'm looking for? More eccentric with it, if you will, or out there. I think that escalated it, but I just wish there was a way you could pinpoint exactly where that switch was flipped.
Yeah, I think she's just like a sociopath or some shit. Like there's really something wrong with this lady. Like she's just very delusional. She's manipulative. Lots of shit going on. Hopefully we can find something out from this, because she's still in the hole, because this was in June. So this wasn't even a month yet, because today's the 3rd of July. So this is barely, not even a month ago that she went. So she's still got some time. And now Chad is also pleading not guilty to everything. He's claiming he had no clue that those kids were on his property. No clue at all. Even though there's evidence that Alex had
your
been there.
Wife about a raccoon right where she was buried.
And then there was also the emails, earlier. The emails.
I meant to bring that up conspiring. Too. The reason they found out about the wedding ring and everything being used on her ex-husband Charles's PayPal account was because his sister had all the login information for it, and she was the one that actually found that out. That's why they did make a trip out there to visit the residence to see, because everything was shipped to the place when they were still trying to find JJ at this point. They still were believing that they could find him. And they're actually the ones that figured out that she had been charging all kinds of stuff, because the sister had found the email or the password for her brother's PayPal and all that kind of stuff, and Amazon accounts. And apparently she had been doing it for a while.
Yes.
Like buying stuff and sending it there.
Yeah, because when no, I know, I popped out again. I don't know. It only does it on this podcast. I've got to figure out what's going on with this. But anyway, but yeah, she was using his credit card, and then like after Charles had died, and she found out for sure that she was not getting any money from him, she was like calling Kay, and she was like complaining and saying like, you get all this money and I'm stuck with 5 kids to take care of because of Charles's kids from the previous relationship, and then Tylee and JJ and Colby. She was pissed off, but then but between Tylee and JJ, their social security that they were getting every month, that was $4,000 she was getting from them kids alone.
Whoa.
She was getting $4,000 a month, and that just came out Thursday too.
Gotcha.
So she was sitting there. She just wanted all the money. Like, she just wanted it all. Like, she's got a lot of fucking clicks that don't clack. Like, it's just fucking weird. But
Very much so.
and so July 1st, which was 2 days ago, this was Thursday when all this shit started coming out again. The new documents that have been heavily redacted. I guess I basically already said this. Giving cell phone records that they took it all from the cloud, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So that Lori and Alex's wife were talking about Charles and trying to get rid of him, their crazy religious beliefs, and another conversation as well that they don't know if it maybe they put the name in wrong, or if this is a new person that has never come up before named Julie. So very interesting stuff we have with this game. I don't know what's happening, but I'm very intrigued.
Very intrigued.
Oh, darling, it's like and that's the end for now. That's basically everything caught up without the little tidbits in here and there, like, because oh god, there's just so much,
like,
and they're already starting a fucking like what was it,
a movie, or
like Aaron put in the comments. Yeah, Aaron put in the comments, oh shit, this is a Lifetime movie. They've already filmed a Lifetime type movie, but they're like, oh, we just want to show like the in-between stuff. It's like, bitch, we don't know all the in-between stuff yet. We're still finding it out. Stop it.
Yeah, why don't you just hold tight?
Yeah, because they're trying to jump the gun right now and just trying to cash grab on this shit is what I'm feeling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so
while it's hot.
Yeah, grab it while it's fucking hot. Well, this shit ain't cooling down for a minute because we still got a while to go. She's still got at least another 2 months to get her mental health restored, so that she has understanding of what her rights are and what's happening. I call bullshit, but whatever. She's just buying time is all she's doing. And so they're saying that they think that the trial is going to happen either the end of this year or the beginning towards spring of next year. So I'm kind of like, fuck, like just fucking, I want to go in there and smack this bitch around. That's all I want to do.
All right.
Because how do you do this to children? How do you do this to people, period? But how do you do this to children? Especially one that is your own. One that is physically your own. How do you do that?
I saw some videos of her when she was alive. The child seemed very sweet, very kind and loving. She went, oh, do you like to cuddle? But you don't have a significant other? Call me. Yeah. I'll come cuddle you.
She's very sweet. And she loved JJ.
Sweet. She loved her brother.
She fucking loved him. That was not her biological brother, but she would carry him around and say, this is my baby. This is my baby. Like, she just adored the shit out of him. She mothered the fuck out of that little boy. And it's so sad, man. It's so sad. These children never get to experience anything. They never get to live a life.
Grow up.
Yeah. She didn't get to go to prom. She didn't get to get a driver's license. She didn't get to have a family. And this little boy, like, he gets nothing. He gets no high school. He gets none of that. His life was cut so short, very short.
Yeah, I was just remembering there's a big stage in every Mormon child's life. Mine was a little later just because of how things happened. I had different last names and all that kind of stuff, so it took a little longer. But the age of, I want to say it's 7 or 8. It's been a while since I've done any of that. But you get baptized.
Okay.
JJ wasn't even old enough to get baptized. Either that or he was baptized shortly before.
Maybe they might have,
They
because he
might
was
have squeezed it in, but like I said, mine, I want to say I was like 8 or 9 when I was baptized, just because of all the paperwork that had to be done first. Because of
okay.
that's one thing that the Mormons are great about, is their documentation of
Hmm.
all of the spiritual aspects of everything. They want to make sure everything's well documented. So
Okay.
that's why, you know, being raised one name most of your life and then having to switch and then go back and forth, and yeah, that's why I
Okay.
had to wait till I was older. But yeah, that's a big thing in the Mormon religion, is baptism, and I don't think he was old enough to even be baptized, or if
Oh.
he was, it was shortly after he was baptized, which
Aw.
is sad.
Maybe that'll come out in more of their discovery, or more,
Maybe.
because there's so much shit. Like I said, there's so much
So
stuff they're
much.
not talking about, especially the way that Tammy died. And I really hope that they look into more of Alex, because if they find shit with Alex, then that would just make everything more concrete.
Exactly.
And oh, also, they if they when they go to trial and stuff, they are looking at possibly getting the death penalty.
Good.
So yeah, I hope they both fucking get it. I hope they both
I
get
do
it.
too.
I hope that it's botched. Sorry, not sorry, but I'm hope that it's botched, and I'm hope that they have to sit there and fucking suffer through it until they fucking die. So sorry, not sorry, but these people are fucking cruel. They're fucking horrible pieces of
Exactly.
shit. And that it is what it is. But yeah. So that is all we know right now of what's going
Mm-hmm.
on. Now we've got to wait a little bit longer to get some more, information. Hopefully, the trial will be, I want the trial to be this year, just because I want this shit over and done with.
Exactly.
I think they got enough on him to get the death penalty, and I'm not for an eye for an eye kind of shit all the time. But
Oh, I
but
am.
but I definitely hope that they fucking get it, because they are guilty without a doubt. Like normally I
Oh,
wouldn't
yes.
say I hope this person gets the death penalty, because a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
times I'm like, well, if you kind of look over here, I kind of try to look at both
I
sides of
do
shit.
too. I
But
do
there's just,
too.
without a doubt, these people are just fucking evil. They are
Evil.
just evil, and they are crazy, and they just need to not be on this earth anymore, taking our
Mhm.
tax dollars to fucking survive. It's
Exactly.
bullshit. So but that is our story for this week. God, okay, so an hour and 45 minutes. We could have made this a two-parter, but I'm glad we muscled
Which,
through it. And thank
yeah.
you, Erin, for hanging out through most
Yeah.
of this. I don't know if you jumped in and out, but Jesus, you've been commenting off and on. So I'm assuming you hung out and listened this entire time with someone else there, because I can see the count in the top of the screen. But yeah, this is insane, and I hope that they get this wrapped up and cleared up really soon, so we can get closure, complete closure, not just us, but of course the
The
family.
families, and
Yeah.
that's one thing I want to stress too, when we talk about these cases, whichever one it may be, I sincerely feel sorry, and my heart goes out to the family members that are having to survive through all of this, the
Yeah.
ones that, you know what I mean, that they don't have their loved ones there anymore. That's one thing that I really feel bad about, but hoping that, maybe keeping an older case more relevant with
Mm-hmm.
what we do and can help in some way. That's the way I
Yeah.
look at it, is, because again, he was a podcaster, the the Daybell
Chad.
was,
Yeah.
Chad. But it's just, I've seen so many cases be solved or be more relevant in the news because people like us are keeping the stories alive and trying to find the answers for the families of the lost
Mm-hmm.
loved ones.
Yep. And actually, I'm glad you said that, because not that long ago, shit, what's her name? Kristen Smart.
Yes, I was
Kristen
actually,
Smart.
we watched that the other day.
Yeah, Kristen Smart, a couple months back. Her case. She was a Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo.
Mhm.
She was a college student. She was, I mean, I'm sure maybe we can get onto this later on, but her case was basically
Mhm.
solved through a fucking podcast, because they
Basically.
brought it back up, and this guy was like so into this case, and he brought it out, and then there were people who were actual witnesses that came forward to this podcast. They're like,
Mhm.
yeah, I know more stuff. And they're like, really, talk to me
Really?
more.
Oh yeah.
And they were able to bring up new information
And new
that
charges
and
to
new
be
charges.
applied to the um what's the word, the criminal that they thought it was.
Yeah. Yeah. The suspect or the
The suspect, that's
suspects.
the word. Suspects.
Suspects. And yeah, and they solved it, and it was just like, holy shit. So I mean, it is a cool thing to do what we do. I mean, we're not out there saying we're trying to solve all
Oh,
these
not
cases.
at all. But
We're just
we're
talking about
just
the
hoping that we help somebody in some way.
yeah. And then, maybe like, people are into true crime for different reasons. Sometimes it's because we're glad we're not the victim. Sometimes it's because we're fascinated by how people work and why they do the things that they do. Or, sometimes people they're very curious about the actual horrors of the world, and how horrific people can be in their actions. And for whatever reason, it's always for a different reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a fingerprint. Everyone is different
It's
in all
different.
of this shit. I mean, we can be similar, but every reason is fucking different. And
Different.
every style and action and, outcome is always fucking different. So it's very fascinating and very intriguing. So that's why we do what we do. So it's so much fun at the same time.
It
So
is. And it's fun, honestly. I know it might seem dark to some folks, but I'll sit here doing research for whatever case we're going over. And the three of us, me, my son, and my husband, we will all sit there and talk about it and, get different perspectives that maybe one of
yep.
us wasn't thinking about. That's what I love about it. I love questioning, well, you've got this information, but what if we looked at it from this side? You know what I mean?
Right.
Just getting that different perspective can
Couch
make
detectives.
exactly. I love that term. I
Couch
love it.
detectives. I love it.
I'm
Yeah,
a couch
I'm
detective.
in my uniform today.
I, I'm getting ready to go swimming, so not
So
in
you're
my
not on
proper
duty
attire.
today.
I'm not on duty.
Oh my
But
gosh. Well, this was a long one, guys, and I appreciate you guys sitting in for this one, and
definitely.
for everybody on the audio platforms. Thanks for hanging out. I don't know. I may cut this one during editing today. I may cut this one in half and make it a 1 and 2, and just maybe put the second half up on something else for a bonus until later on, and then put it. I don't know how I'm gonna do this yet. I'll figure it out. I have all day to do this shit. Because I got to get up on that Patreon and shit like that and put up the case information and shit that it's going to be a little harder to find in some places. Because that's what we do over at the Patreon. We try to put up the police reports and special information that you have to actually look. So we kind of do it for you in a sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do want to throw another thing out there.
Mm-hmm.
This week was our first week of doing the clues prior to our podcast. I didn't see any comments. However, it's still kind of a new thing. Feel free, y'all, if you see us or hear us on any form of social media. We have an Instagram. I've been doing pictures throughout the week, and I'll do it next week as well. We do want to kind of get more folks in here, so feel free to share and like and all that good stuff for everything, because that really does help us a lot and helps us reach more people as well.
Absolutely. And we're going to have, I've got merch coming soon. It's just sticker merch right now, but we can give away stickers or whatever to the people who maybe guess what the crime is before Saturday. So it's like, if you can solve with the clues before, we go live, then, we'll send you a sticker or we'll send you something or whatever.
Or
and then,
you could pick the theme for one of our next podcasts coming up. So
exactly. And then we'll, eventually we'll get a little merch store. I'll wait till we build up our audience a little bit more, and we'll get a little merch store so you can go on there and order shirts or whatever. And I don't think we're gonna stick with this logo officially. It's just something I kind of got together real quick. But I think maybe we'll come up with a different design or something like that. But the name is what it is. Yeah. And thank you, Aaron. He says the logo would look good on a mug. It would. I've got stickers coming that they're, I don't know. I want to get some holographic ones too, because those look kind of dope when I was going through the sticker options.
Yeah.
But we're just getting some basic ones for right now.
Well, and I think too, the stickers would look great in my epoxies. I can make little trays out of them. I've got
I love that one.
I love
that one. It reminds me of Dexter when he had the blood slides. I love that. That looks cool. Even though it's different colors, I love that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys make sure that you follow us on Facebook, Instagram. We are also on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, BuzzSprout. We're on all kinds of different audio platforms as well as and YouTube, because we go
YouTube.
live.
Yeah.
We go live just because it's easier. Just I like the visual one, but I try to focus on making this an audio one. But whatever. So yeah, make sure you guys follow us. All the links are in the description below if you guys want to check out more. And yeah, check out Instagram, because we're not telling you guys what next week's topic is. You guys gotta look at the clues and try to solve it before we get there. So you guys make sure you guys hit us up on our Instagram. Yeah.
Or on Facebook, because I'm also posting it on my Facebook story and our page's Facebook story as well.
Yeah.
Trying to. It's still kind of new to me, but I'm getting there.
It's good. I'm trying to catch you up to speed. That's why I said, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. Aaron says, make a Twitch if you don't already. I fucking forgot about doing a Twitch. I think we talked about that last weekend, and I forgot to do a Twitch. So, my phone's gonna die. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of The Devil Made Me Do It. Join us next week. We're not telling you what we're doing, but we're doing something. So, yeah. So go on Instagram and try to figure out. You gotta watch to find out and follow the clues to figure it out. And win a pretty sticker or something. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much. I'm Joe.
And I'm Dizzy. Y'all have a good one.
All right. We'll see you guys next weekend. Keep it killer, guys.